And on to Sunday. It's funny. 2 weeks ago, there was a lot of flack on my power rankings because Edmonton was too high. I had them at 13. Now I have them at 18, and now people are mad that they're too low. And okay, fine. It's funny because I know exactly why teams drop and rise. When I look over the past week's records, I'm like, yeah, that's why they're where they are. And I think sometimes people get caught up in you won. And it's not how you win, and it's how a team wins or how a team looks in a win or in a loss, especially when there's only 2 or 3 games in a night that I go, you know what? I have some concerns. There's some stuff going on in their game because, and it all goes back to when I was, before I ever had a channel and I'd watch the Canucks and they'd be on a nice winning streak, and I'd go, I'd be thinking to myself, this winning streak looks good, but it's false. It's not. They're not that great, and I'd have to argue with people about that around here. Or they'd be on a losing streak, and people are like, oh, they're on a losing streak, they suck. And I'd be like, yes, but they're playing well. They need to stay in that game, and they're good. So, yes, I have some concerns with Edmonton. And the good news is, for Oiler fans, tomorrow night, this game is going to be absolutely huge. But we're going to get to that. First up, Boston's in against Ottawa. This should be a great, fun game. Ottawa plays loose, and they have a lot of fun when they're playing. And Boston... there's some speed in their game as well, so this should be a fun one overall, front to back, and this could be a spot where Ottawa finally rests Anderson, maybe, possibly, please. All right, leading the way in scoring for Boston's Pasternak with 20 goals and 14 assists. Marchand's next with 7 goals, 20 assists. Bergeron, 9 goals, 17 assists. Krejci, 4 goals, 18 assists. Krug, 1 goal and 14 assists. Yes, Krug finally got that goal. DeBrusk, 10 goals, 2 assists. Grzelcyk, 1 goal, 8 assists. And Danton Heinen, 3 goals and 4 assists, pushes McAvoy off the board. On the Ottawa side of things, Duchesne, 12 goals, 22 assists. Stone, 14 goals, 10 assists. Chabot, 8 goals, 25 assists. Dzingel, 12 goals, 9 assists. Tierney, 3 goals, 17 assists. White, 8 goals, 10 assists. Ryan, 6 goals, 12 assists. And Bodker, with 3 goals and 14 assists, gets on the board with 17 points. Goaltenders, I expect Rask here because Halak played tonight. Halak's 9-4-2, 2.30 goals against, 930 save percentage. Rask 6-6-2, 2.62 goals against, and a 914 save percentage. On the Ottawa side, I expect Anderson because he plays every game. He's 12-11-3, 3.58 goals against, 906 save percentage. But this might be a good spot. Good spot to play McKenna, who's 1-1. 4.66 goals against, 879 save percentage. Over their last 10, Boston's 5-4-1. They won their last game. Ottawa's 4-6. They won their last game. And on the road, Boston's 5-7-4. At home, Ottawa is 10-5-2. Versus the East, Boston's 11-6-1 versus the East. Ottawa's 10-9-1. Big game for Boston. Can they maintain it? So they get some momentum coming out of the Toronto game. But momentum with Boston is tricky. And for Ottawa, it kind of is too. So they're 1 game below 500. They've got 13 wins, 14 losses. Can they get back to a 14-14? Can they get back to an even record and start looking ahead? And for Boston, as the number 2 wild card right now, actually no, they're the number 1 wild card after tonight's games were done because they're 1 point ahead of Montreal. Can they maintain a wild card spot? They looked like they should be top 3 this year. Everybody bet on them to be top 3. And then none of us expected Buffalo to be this good. But can they make up some more ground in Buffalo tomorrow? That's yet to be seen in that one. So it'll be an interesting game between a team that is probably underachieved, has had some injury problems, and a team that's probably overachieved a little bit, and now they're having injury problems as well. Next up, Vancouver and St. Louis, the game of the week. WEAK, game of the week. This is the 12-16-3 Vancouver Canucks against the 10-13-4 St. Louis Blues. Both teams going through a miserable season. And we'll see, again, can Vancouver start finally making up some ground? Can they start getting on another one of those hot streaks like they had earlier in the year? I have my doubts. The 12 losses in 14 games will do that. And it's been a brutal fall to the bottom for Vancouver, and I don't see it getting a whole lot better for them. That being said, their leading scorer is Bo Horvat. 13 goals, 14 assists. Elias Pettersson, 14 goals, 11 assists. Goldobin, 4 goals, 13 assists. Virtanen now with 9 goals and 5 assists for 14 points. Besser, 6 goals and 8 assists. Eriksson, 5 goals, 8 assists. Roussel, 3 goals, 9 assists. And Marcus Granlund on the board with 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points, putting Hutton out. On the St. Louis side of things, O'Reilly, 12 goals, 16 assists. Tarasenko, 9 goals, 11 assists. Perron, 8 goals, 8 assists. Shen, 6 goals, 10 assists. Steen, 6 goals, 5 assists. Pietrangelo, 4 goals, 7 assists. Bozak, 3 goals, 8 assists. And Dunn with 3 goals and 7 assists. Goaltenders, I expect Markstrom here, but they could go with Nilsson since it's a weaker matchup. Do you have a weaker matchup when you have the record the Canucks do? Probably not. Markstrom's 9-9-3, 3.30 goals against, 8.97 save percentage. Nilsson's 3-6-0, 2.80 goals against, 9.04 save percentage. On the St. Louis side of things, I expect Allen. Allen's playing pretty well right now. Johnson, 2-6 with a 3.51 goals against, 8.89 save percentage. Jake Allen, finally some good numbers. He's 8-7-4 now with a 3.00 goals against and a 9.03 save percentage. So save percentage finally over 900. Considering where it was a month ago, that's miraculous. In their last 10, Vancouver's 2-7-1. They won their last game. The St. Louis Blues are 3-6-1. They won their last game. On the road, Vancouver's 6-9-2. At home, St. Louis is 6-7-2. Versus the West, Vancouver's 7-10-1. Versus the West, St. Louis is 8-10-4. So again, this is one of those somebody has to win games. Absolutely, somebody has to win this. So let me go ahead and throw this on here because it's a home game for them, right? So I got to make sure I throw that on there before we get to that game. Anyways, for St. Louis, it's a test in that you're out of the playoffs. You look like you're not going to making it, but if you're going to go on a run, Vancouver's coming in, and Vancouver's been kind of miserable on the road for about a month. And for Vancouver, can Pettersson get another streak going and start really making up a ton of ground? I mean, the whole rookie race, yes. I still think Pettersson would win the Calder if it was awarded tomorrow. But you know what? It wouldn't be by quite the landslide as it would have been because that Dahlin kid in Buffalo has been pretty solid. So St. Louis has something to prove tomorrow, and we'll see if they which team comes out of this with a win. Somebody has to. It's the thing. Somebody has to win. So Dallas, 16-10-3, solid record for them. Overall, they're in against Vegas, who are 16-14-1. Vegas has been on an excellent run. Dallas, the funny thing is I'm taking flack for Edmonton being at 18th. I've got Dallas at 19th, and they've got a better record than Edmonton. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, Dallas, who have looked solid at times in this 4-game winning streak. Nice result against San Jose. And we'll see if they can maintain it. What makes me nervous with Dallas is their road record. And we'll see how it turns out tomorrow because they're going against a team that plays really well at home and has a spotty road record themselves. So Vegas at home, Dallas on the road. Dallas, Sagan is their leading scorer with 8 goals, 18 assists. Jamie Benn, 12 goals, 12 assists. Radulov, 9 goals, 13 assists. Spezza, 5 goals, 11 assists. Shore, 5 goals, 9 assists. Heiskanen, 5 goals, 8 assists. Having a solid rookie season himself. Klingberg, 5 goals, 8 assists. Lindell rounding out the scoring with 4 goals, 7 assists. On the Vegas side of things, Marchessault, 12 goals, 13 assists. Carlson, 9 goals, 13 assists. Tuck, 9 goals, 12 assists. Smith, 5 goals, 15 assists. Eakin, 11 goals, 8 assists. Pacioretty, 10 goals, 7 assists for him now. Theodore, 4 goals, 13 assists. Theodore's having an excellent season. And Miller, 2 goals and 10 assists for him. So, for a team that has a defense that you'd look at and say, well, where's the offense going to come from? Theodore's answering that question, and Schmidt's showing signs that he's going to start picking it up. Goaltenders, I expect Bishop here. Bishop's 10-5-1, 2.23 goals against, 9.27 save percentage. Hudobin's 6-5-2 with a 2.71 goals against, 9.15 save percentage. It should be Subban. Subban's 0-4, 4.02 goals against, 8.59 save percentage. But it'll likely be Fleury, who's played 9 games in a row, including today's against LA. 16-10-1, 2.52 goals against, 9.08 save percentage. So I'm sadly figuring it'll be his 10th straight start tomorrow. and you need to have a backup that you can turn to, so that in a back-to-back situation, Fleury doesn't have to play both. Over their last 10, Dallas is 6-3-1. They've won 4 in a row. The Vegas Golden Knights are 7-3, and they lost their last game. On the road, Dallas is 6-7-2 at home. Vegas is 9-3-1. Versus the West, Dallas is 10-2-2. Versus the West, Vegas is 10-6-1. Both teams very solid against their own conference. Everything would seem to point towards Vegas when you look at home and road and you look at their last 10. And you just look at the overall numbers right now, I would say it favors Vegas. But it should be a solid game. It should be very competitive, regardless of who gets the win in this one. Next up, Montreal. 14-10-5 are those Montreal Canadiens. Had a solid week this week. And they're in against Chicago. Chicago's 9-16-5. For the Blackhawks, it's been a long, dark season. For Montreal, a surprisingly solid one. And Price is getting better. Even though his numbers aren't quite where you'd like them to be, he is getting better. On the Montreal side, their leading scorers, of course, Max Domi, 13 goals, 17 assists. Drouin, 10 goals, 16 assists. Tatar, 11 goals, 12 assists. Petrie, 4 goals, 16 assists. Gallagher, 13 goals, 6 assists. Shaw, 8 goals, 8 assists. Lehkonen, 5 goals, 11 assists. And Philippe Danault, 2 goals, 13 assists to round out the scorers for Montreal. On the Chicago side, Patrick Kane, 13 goals, 19 assists. Taves, 13 goals, 11 assists. DeBrincat, 11 goals, 11 assists. Brandon Saad, 8 goals, 8 assists. Anisimov, 6 goals, 9 assists. Gustafsson, 5 goals, 7 assists. Keith, 12 assists for him. And Cahoon, 3 goals and 8 assists to round out the scoring for Chicago. Goaltenders, I expect the name guys in this one. I expect it to be Price and Crawford. Niemi's 4-2-1, 3.61 goals against, 893 save percentage. Price, 10-8-4, 2.96 goals against, 899 save percentage. The Chicago Blackhawks 5-13-1 with Crawford in net, 3.22 goals against, 902 save percentage, and I expect him again here. Ward's 4-3-4 with a 3.91 goals against, 888 save percentage. So Chicago's numbers not great from top to bottom, other than the fact that Kane has had a good start to the season. Taves has cooled off a lot from an excellent start for him, but still his overall numbers are solid. Over their last 10, Montreal's 4-4-2. They've won 2 in a row. The Blackhawks 2-8-0, and they've lost 6 in a row. So Chicago is right now the worst team in the league. On the road, Chicago's 6-4-3. At home, Chicago's 5-5-3. Versus the West, Montreal's 5-4. Versus the East, Chicago's 4-5-2. So this is a good old matchup between an original 6 team and another original 6 team, but it doesn't quite have the bite of what it would have when they met in the Stanley Cup Finals in the good old days. 60s, and I believe I want to say 71. I should know that from my history series, right? The one that everybody watched. Anyways, Chicago at home against Montreal is going to feel like good old times until puck drop, and we'll see if Chicago manages to stop that losing streak against a Montreal Canadiens team that offensively is very impressive. The defense a little spottier than that, but we'll see how they do tomorrow, right? Okay, next up, Calgary. Here we are, Battle of Alberta, game of the night. Very little doubt this is going to be the game of the night. This is 19-9-2 Calgary and against 15-12-2 Edmonton. And for the Oilers, this is the big game. So this past week, they had to come back. They won a game in a shootout against St. Louis. So again, I qualify when I'm doing power rankings, I qualify a shootout as a tie. Because to me, that's not the same as a regular victory. And the NHL doesn't record it the same as a regulation or overtime victory. That's why you have row. Regulation overtime wins when you're looking at the NHL standings. And they did have the win over Minnesota. Minnesota had an awful week. And then they also had the other win they had this week. I'm trying to think. No, they lost to Dallas is what happened this week as well. So they had a 2-1 record over the week. But for me, I viewed it as 1-1-1. So again, that's kind of where things turn out. And that's where I know people get upset. Like, what are you talking about? I know. It's how I figure things out because... And part of it is because if your team is winning games in shootouts, it's not really something that's... It sort of makes your record look better for the team than what it is. And I look at Chicago at the start of the year. They were 3-0-2. And I had them ranked really low on the board compared to where people want them. They're like, they're undefeated in regulation. And my point was, yeah, but they haven't won a single game without going to overtime. I want to see wins in regulation. I want to see dominance. Now, for Edmonton, we saw that in the last game. And now they have to show that when they're playing against a team, that while Calgary's on a back-to-back, they're not going to be just as... Minnesota looked absolutely destroyed in that game against Edmonton. So we'll see how they play tomorrow night. Your leading scorer for Calgary, Johnny Gaudreau, 12 goals, 27 assists. Monahan, 18 goals, 17 assists. Lindholm, 16 goals, 18 assists. Tkachuk, 13 goals, 20 assists. If not for the suspension, Giordano would have had his 30th point tonight. There's no way he wouldn't have. 3 goals, 26 assists. Backlund, 5 goals, 12 assists. Hanifin, 3 goals, 11 assists. And Brody, 3 goals and 9 assists for him. On the Oilers side of things, McDavid, 15 goals, 25 assists. Draisaitl, 15 goals, 18 assists. Nugent Hopkins, 8 goals, 18 assists. Clefbaum, 3 goals, 12 assists for him. Chason, 12 goals, 2 assists. Kajula, 7 goals, 3 assists. Kara, 1 goal, 9 assists for him. And Nurse, 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points. Gets you into the top 8 scorers for Edmonton. The depth scoring's getting better, but I still have some major concerns with their depth scoring. Your goaltending, I would expect Riddick here, although Smith is on a run, and maybe even though it's a back-to-back, maybe they're not going to care. Riddick's 8-2-1 with a 2.39 goals against, 919 save percentage. Smith, 11-7-1 now with a 2.88 goals against and an 893 save percentage. Smith, the save percentage is gradually getting better every night. His win-loss record's fantastic compared to what it was, and we'll see if he can keep it up against an Oilers team that should start Koskinen, but something tells me it'll be Talbot. Talbot's 7-9-1, 3.12 goals against, 895 save percentage. Koskinen's 8-3-1 with a 2.23 goals against, 925 save percentage. Over their last 10, Calgary's 8-1-1, they've won 5 in a row. Edmonton's 6-3-1, they've won their last 2. On the road, Calgary's 9-6. At home, Edmonton's 8-4-1. Versus the West, Calgary's 14-6-1. Versus the West, Edmonton is 10-7-1. So, for Edmonton, this is the big test now. Their schedule, they haven't played, they haven't been playing a lot of the better teams in the league, is where they're at. And now this is a chance for them to show against the leaders in the West exactly what they're made of. And working to their benefit is that Backlund isn't in there, Giordano isn't in there. Not that it mattered against Nashville tonight, but hey, the Flames are a little bit shorthanded, and the Edmonton Oilers need to jump on that tomorrow night. So there you go. We'll see what happens there. Next up, Philly, 12-12-3 now. They're in against the 17-9-2 Winnipeg Jets, a Winnipeg Jets team that seems to be on the verge. And gosh darn it, they're on the verge, but they keep managing to take steps back here and there. But that being said, they did have a nice winning streak before that loss against St. Louis. We'll see if they can get it going again. On the Philly side for scoring, Giroux, 11 goals, 25 assists. Voracek, 7 goals, 15 assists. Couturier, 10 goals, 10 assists. Konechny, 9 goals, 10 assists. Simmons, 10 goals and 4 assists. Gostisbehere, 3 goals, 10 assists. Lawton, 6 goals, 5 assists. And Lindblom, 4 goals, 7 assists. Right now, Nashville and Colorado look vulnerable. Vulnerable to being caught by Winnipeg. This is when Winnipeg needs to do it. And leading them in scoring is Wheeler with 4 goals, 32 assists. Scheifele, 16 goals, 16 assists. Connor, 10 goals, 15 assists. Laine, 21 goals, 3 assists. Ehlers, 9 goals, 8 assists. Byfuglien, 2 goals, 15 assists. Little, 5 goals, 10 assists. And Trouba with 3 goals and 12 assists. It would really help Winnipeg would be if this is one of those games where Laine scores a bunch of goals. Against St. Louis, he seemed to be distracted by some of the checking that was going on. He seemed to be agitated by some of the members of the Blues, and it threw him off his game. Now they're against Philly. Philly's well known for agitating teams. Goaltending. I expect if nobody else is healthy, Stolarz will keep playing. Elliott 6-7, 2.59 goals against, 911 save percentage. Stolarz 1-1, 2.94 goals against, 907 save percentage. I believe that's 1-1-1. Neuwirth 0-1, 6.00 goals against, 727 save percentage. On the Winnipeg side of things, I would expect Hellebuck. Brossois 5-1-1, 2.16 goals against, 935 save percentage. Hellebuck 12-8-1, 2.88 goals against, 907 save percentage for him. So Hellebuck's still a little bit below average, but it seems to be picking up again for him. In their last 10, Winnipeg is 6-4, whereas Philadelphia is 3-5-2. Philadelphia's won their last game. Winnipeg lost their last game on the road. Philadelphia is better than they are at home. They're 7-5-1 at home. Winnipeg's better than they are on the road. They're 9-4-2. Versus the West, Philly's better than they are against the East. They're 6-4-1 versus the East. Winnipeg about the same as they are against the West. They're 8-4-1. So this will be a very interesting matchup. And all the numbers tell me this will probably be a little bit more even than what you might think when you look at where they are in the standings. This might actually be a pretty solid, even matchup, and we might see a ton of goals. That can happen with Philly games, and Winnipeg, if they get on a roll, and if the line starts scoring again, and if Wheeler and Scheifele have their magic going, yeah, this could be a 6-5, 7-5 type game, 7-6, which should be kind of nice because the odd game like that, like Calgary's big win over Columbus the other night. Those are fun. I know it's bad for coaches. I know some fans may not enjoy it very much either, especially if your team's on the losing side of that. But they can be fun games, and I could see Philly going in tomorrow and having that kind of game with Winnipeg. Again, you wonder what Chuck Fletcher's thinking when he watches Philadelphia right now. Is he willing to just throw in the towel for this season? Or is he going to try to make moves that get Philadelphia into the playoffs this year? And which player on Philadelphia gets moved out so you can move a guy in so you have a better shot at making it into the playoffs? And if you know the answer to that question, you're way ahead of the rest of us. It'll be very interesting to see what the Philadelphia Flyers do. Because management clearly is not going to be happy with mediocrity, and yet here we are. Next up, and last but not least, let's go ahead and throw this one in here. New Jersey in against Anaheim. New Jersey's 10-12-5. Anaheim's 15-11-5. Anaheim's winning streak has been snapped. It was snapped at home by the Carolina Hurricanes. And for them, New Jersey's coming in off of a rare win on the road against the LA Kings. And for New Jersey, their 10-12-5 record indicates that, yes, they've been struggling, but New Jersey, it's NJD versus everybody, right? So we'll see if at some point they get on another run and maybe they can get back into the running of things. The good news for them is it's the Metro Division, and there's definitely room there that if you go on a hot streak, you could probably get into a number 3 spot there, but watch for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not playing tomorrow, but watch for Pittsburgh. Leading the way in scorers for New Jersey is Taylor Hall with 8 goals, 22 assists. Paul Mary, 14 goals and 10 assists. Zajac, 9 goals, 8 assists. Heischer, 6 goals, 11 assists. Coleman, 9 goals, 7 assists. Severson, 3 goals, 13 assists. Vatanen, 1 goal, 11 assists. Johansson with 5 goals and 5 assists to round things out for New Jersey. On the Anaheim side of things, Getzlaf leads the way with 8 goals, 14 assists. Raquel, 5 goals, 15 assists. Henrique, 6 goals, 11 assists. Aberg, 9 goals, 6 assists. Lindholm, 3 goals, 11 assists. Silverberg, 7 goals, 6 assists. Montour, 3 goals, 10 assists. And there's Nick Ritchie again, 4 goals and 6 assists to round out the scorers for the Anaheim Ducks. Goaltenders, I expect Kincaid because his backup is Corey Schneider, who's 0-5 with a 4.19 goals against, 862 save percentage. Kincaid's 10-7-5, 2.94 goals against, 906 save percentage. And I talked about Ottawa needing a backup, and I would also say that New Jersey could probably use an upgrade at the backup position in net as well. Anaheim, Gibson's 11-9-4, 2.58 goals against, 926 save percentage. I expect him to play. It'd be nice if it was Miller, because Miller needs that one win to pass John Van Beesbroek. He's 4-2-1 with a 2.47 goals against, 929 save percentage. Over their last 10. New Jersey's 2-4-4. They won their last game. Over their last 10. Anaheim 7-2-1. They lost their last game. On the road, New Jersey's 3-10-1. They're trying to get to 4-10-1. And boy, look out. Anaheim's 8-4-5. So they're still in a situation where they've won less than half of their games at home. I understand people got really enamored with them during the winning streak. That's great. But their overall record is still middle of the road. Very middling. And I do wonder about its sustainability. Versus the West, New Jersey is 4-2-2. Versus the East, Anaheim is 7-3-2. So Anaheim's very solid against the East. And New Jersey, better than expected against the West, considering their overall record. But hey, that's why they play the games. So there you go. 7 games tomorrow. There's a few of these that are matinee. That's why you're getting this in the middle of the night on the East Coast. And you're getting it in the morning in Europe. So good morning to those of you in Europe. And I'm very sorry for people who have that notification bell checked for my videos. I will say this, for people who've clicked that bell, thank you. I don't talk about it. I don't talk about, click the bell for notifications. I'm very grateful for people who do it. I understand it doesn't always work. I don't have any control over how much it works. And for the record, when commercials show up, I have no control over how long an ad is in a video. I understand some of them are extremely long. I don't watch them myself on other channels. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, oh, no, I would watch them, because there's a limit. And for me, it's when they get into the 5-6 minute and beyond, I've seen commercials that are 2 hours long. That's not a commercial, it's a movie. I don't get it. So I totally understand why people would hit that skip button in that situation. No problem at all. And again, thank you guys for all your support, and for the fact that week to week I'm still able to do this, and I'm able to provide for you guys, and that the subscriber numbers keep going up. So thank you guys so much. I have no problem, again, explaining why my power rankings board ends up the way it does every Saturday night. I have no problem talking about it. And again, I understand why people have some personal reservations to it. I have no problem with that personally. I can't tell somebody why anybody else's rankings are the way they are. But I noticed on NHL.com they take, I think it's 7 different votes. And so seven members of the staff all vote on the top 16, and then they do like they group it together, and they say, okay, so these many points are awarded for first, these many for 16th, and nobody ever has the same top 16. So power rankings are fun because nobody ever has the same top teams, and there are times where I will look at those, because I always look at where people voted, and I'll see a team like rated 10th by somebody, I'll be like, they lost all week. What? And so it happens. It's one person's opinion. And again, it's not gospel, and it doesn't affect how other teams do. I'm really pretty sure that teams don't sit down on Saturday night and say, all right, guys, we're done playing hockey. Let's go ahead and load up the Hockey Guys power rankings. If you guys can find a single NHL player that stays up late at night to watch that, I'd be very, very surprised. So let me know. There's an email address in the description for all my videos. You can find a single hockey player that will admit on Twitter in just a quick little shout-out video that's like 2 seconds long on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, that they'll say, yeah, no, I watch Shannon's power rankings every week. That would be hilarious, and I would definitely have to do a video where I talked about just how weird that is. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.